What's going on? How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to the show. Fire for Effect Live, 12 April. 12 April. Holy shit, time is flying. There's my man, the Blue Rocketeer. Let's bring him in. Oh, that doesn't look right. What's going on, man?
Oh, man, same old, same old.
Just you and me.
Oh, wow. Okay, well,
Bryce
I guess
JT's
busy. Bryce is
working. Bryce has got shit he's got to deal with.
Yeah, Bryce is extra busy. Been there.
We'll stay out of that.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm still waiting to hear from Mike Root if I'm fucking going to this tea thing tonight.
Oh, there's something tonight as well, is there?
Well, one of the guys, one of the Afghan interpreters is supposed to be hosting tea.
Yep.
At his house. So I really want to go down to that and be part of it and film it. And
yeah. Are you filming tomorrow night?
Yeah. Doing interviews. I'm going to film it. I'm bringing all my shit down. So
are you cool? Is Rhino going as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Danielle.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it.
It's good. Should be good. I'm going to be there. Buddy's going to be there like at 11 to start cooking or noon, but we're not eating till like 8:32 p.m.
Okay, whatever.
To reflect, it's Ramadan. We'll get into Ramadan in a bit for those that don't know much about it. And we'll get into a bit about what that's all about. But yeah, Dave Rhino's going to be down there. He's going to help me out with lighting and a bunch of other stuff. Hi, Ash. And he's going to do a bunch of still photography for us. That'll help this mini doc thing that I'm trying to pull off here. Interesting couple days. So I'm that fucking guy. I'm 52 years old now, right? So I'm turning into like my dad. Where tech comes out and you like hear about it, but you don't know fuck all about it. Really? Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm even worse than you are, man. And I'm 41.
Are you? But I used to be a tech dude, and I still consider myself a tech guy. Like outside of the army, I had a side hustle teaching at NAIT, teaching internet, operating systems, security, web development, all that shit.
But think about it. I'm even worse because I'm 41, but I was never a tech dude, never interested, couldn't give a shit. So like I might as well be 90 years old.
Yeah. So I'm starting to feel that way. So everybody's talking about AI. Yeah. It's in the news, controversy, blah, blah, blah. And I've like not fucking tracking at all what it is, right? Like not paying attention at all. And I've always been like, ever since the Terminator, afraid of AI, right?
Yeah, me too. Me too, man. Terminator 2 is probably like one of my like top 5 favorite movies,
man. And then the Matrix and iRobot and all these fucking movies that have come out about artificial intelligence.
Yeah, Skynet's gonna come self-aware and
man,
and it's gonna take over and we're all gonna die. Like
all these memes are popping up. And hey, Chat GPT invents something that makes jobs in schools obsolete on it, and it's a picture of the Terminator without the skin, right?
Yeah, exactly. Man.
So
terrifying.
So I go into Filmora, my video editing software that I use right now, and there's an update. And when it updated, it's got this thing called the fuck is it called? AI copyright. It's got a bunch of AI tools in it, but I'm like, okay, is that a buzzword? Is it real AI or is it just a bunch of fucking fancy term? You know, like the buzzword of the week. You know, like the original Nike Airs didn't have an air thing in them. It was just called that because whatever.
Because it sounded cool.
Right? So I'm like, what the fuck is this? What does it do? So I typed something into it. I said, well, write me a script. It's supposed to help your writing better for your editing. And it wrote me a script. And then I went onto the actual page. This chat. Hang on. I'm going to see if I can. How do you share your screen on this? Sorry. Yeah, low tech. Fuck again. Share screen. Oh, my God. Okay. Sorry. Later. Yeah, I know. I'm turning into that.
I was actually reading something about AI. Just funny little things. And I guess like AI was like profiling people.
Yeah.
and just and shit like that. And it turns out like AI is like racist as a motherfucker. Like it was it made me it made me laugh out loud. It's like AI is like
Well,
worse than the current system we have. Like if people are thinking, like police profile and
yeah.
government, and it was even worse. I was just like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. So I signed up for this Chat GPT thing, which is the big thing. I like an hour later, my dad shows up. I'll get to that in a second. It gives you some examples. So how I used it today is I said, I need a list of questions to ask Afghan interpreters about their experiences. And what it cranked out was fucking way better than what I would have cranked out.
Really?
And in seconds. And then I said, give me a list of questions to ask Canadian military personnel in Afghanistan about interpreters. And it's fucking unbelievable. But let's type something in near and dear to your heart. What are the qualities of a good military sniper? And boom, look at that.
Be like, what are the qualities of a terrible leader? And it's just a picture of Justin Trudeau pops up.
Picture of Justin Trudeau pops up. So, like, when you read through this, because my dad ran the same thing on some oil and gas technical shit because he's helping out. He's a consultant now. He's retired, but he's brought back in as a consultant to help a company called Pembex, which owned his previous company, Pembina, because there was an explosion at this gas plant down in Mexico.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, how to make it better. And he wrote his big report he's supposed to turn in. I showed him this shit, and then he like took pieces of it to analyze it and make it better, and it did. It's fucking unbelievable, man. So for those who can see this, you can type anything into this, and it spits out pretty quality stuff. I'm just fucking blown away, man.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean,
Blown away, like how fast it helped me out today. So that's like, I'm afraid of AI more than
I'm absolutely terrified. I
more
don't
than
even like
ever, man.
dude. I don't even like fuel injection on my motorcycle. Like I'm terrified, absolutely terrified of AI.
Yeah. So like but this really helped today. Like within seconds, it spit out 10 or 15 questions to ask, and then you can run it again and it'll give you different ones. And then of course the website asks, is that better or worse to improve it, right? But to protect the planet, it only goes up to 2021. So it's 2 years dated on what it's going to spit back.
Yeah, fair enough. But still, even if I was 2 years dated, it's probably still going to give you like better questions.
Oh man, I am 2 years fucking dated. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I get it.
So I couldn't believe it. I'm like, okay, that's actually helping my workflow. And anybody who knows Ray Rout, he's a member of Crier Media. He's a wicked fucking dude. Consider him a good friend. He works for a company called Job Skills Canada. And he says they've been using this stuff forever to help improve their products. Right? Like give it some information, something you wrote, and say, here it is. You copy paste it in. Can you make this better? Can you write this in a better way? And it goes, well, okay. And then it spits it out and like fucking reformats. It's unbelievable shit, man. I don't know. Like, sorry, I can't read all the stuff you guys are saying here. But if you guys have fucked with AI, it is crazy. And then there's a picture thing too. So a friend of mine, she was over today and she said, there's for $20 or $17.99, you can send a picture of yourself to this AI website. And it spits back like 120 different pictures of you. But it's fucking hilarious because the AI is not perfect. Like there's a hand coming out of the head this way, or the hand's not, it's a lot of hand shit. The hand's like not anatomically correct. It looks like it's coming from the wrong fucking arm and stuff, some of them. But some of them are really good. And another feature in Filmora, not that I'm plugging Filmora because they don't have it for Mac yet, but for the Windows one, there's AI image, where you can describe an image you want and it makes it. Like doesn't just, you can have a drawing or an actual composite photograph thing that it pulled pieces and like photoshopped it together, and it looks fucking amazing.
Give me
It's
one
fucking
second, bro.
crazy.
Just give
It's
me a
crazy
second.
stuff. Yeah, all good. I'll go back to me screen here. I'll hide them. Yeah, if you guys have seen this stuff, it's absolutely fucking mind-boggling. So I talked to some teachers because one of the fears is that kids are going to use this to basically cheat. Like everybody remembers Google. Everybody remembers Google like it's gone. Everybody still uses Google. When search engines came out, I'm going to take you guys on a history lesson back to the early 90s when I was getting into tech. Outside of the military, I worked for part-time for one of the first internet companies in Edmonton. And the number one search engine back then was called Alta Vista. And there was a couple other ones. The names elude me. And they were pretty rudimentary search engines. Google obviously changed the world. Nobody uses Bing. And if you do, well, you probably pull legs off fucking insects too. But anyway, this is a fucking game changer. You can put in whatever you want and it just goes whack. It spits out fairly accurate stuff. Chat GPT caveats with, you need to check your own accuracy on this. You need to check copyrights, plagiarism. But the schools were concerned that kids, rightfully so, would use this to write essays because you can get it to write an essay. I made it write a script. It can write whatever you want. Give me a short story about a dog and a dog park. Bam, it spit it out. Give me a 500-word essay on migrating fucking whales. Whack, it spit it out. Unbelievable stuff. And I thought, okay, that's cute. And then today I'm getting prepped up for this thing we're going to get to in a second. So all the tech shit's good to go, but I'm like, okay, well, you need to actually come up with a list of questions to ask these guys. And I literally typed in questions. Hang on, I'll let Morgan back in. Questions I could ask an Afghan interpreter who served with the Canadian military during the war. And it spit out fucking unbelievably good questions. And I ran it again, took like 20 of them, picked the ones I want, maybe reworded it a little bit. But my workflow was cut from like, I don't know, 45 minutes maybe, depending on how good your brain is with coming up with good overhead questions that drive conversations versus direct questions that end up with yes, no answers, which is not what you want for documentary type film. You want storytelling. So I want them to tell a story. And it did it. And then I said, okay, well, give me another one, for Canadian soldiers. And it spit that out. So like, fucking dude, 5 minutes. I got my questions done. Hit print, done. Let's see what we got here. Some comments. Let's get some comments.
Oh,
There we go.
sauce
There's
bag.
Ryan.
Ryan's
Hey,
there.
thanks.
Ah.
The design app for educators to run papers through to detect if it was AI. Now, funny you mentioned that, Ryan, because my dad, again, was over today, and he's talking to my brother, who's in Toronto now, lives north of Toronto. And my brother's son-in-law, his wife's kid, whatever the word is.
Yeah, sure. Stepson, whatever.
He's going to be an aeronautical engineer, right? Like he's a fucking little genius kid. He goes, fuck that. We got software that defeats the software that does what Ryan's talking about, man. So it's going to be this constant battle with the education system vetting anything that a kid does against this new AI. And if this is the beginning of this shit, where it's public domain to us, I can't imagine what the government's using.
I get what you're saying, Chris, but like at the same time, like if everybody has access to this to make them look really smart or whatever, the playing field is going to be kind of level, and the actual smart people, the people that actually come up with their own ideas and write their own papers and do their own work, the cream will rise to the top. It always does, and everyone will know, because now these AI papers that people are going to hand in and this AI work, idiots like you and me, we're still here, but the really smart people are always going to be here.
No, and I agree with that, but can this be used for evil? Yes, it can.
Of course,
I saw this fucked up.
It was probably developed by evil, right?
Well,
look at all the crazy shit that the Nazis developed. I mean, and you're like, wow, that's pretty
sure,
good.
guaranteed the governments are using this for whatever. They got their own engines. Like this Chat GPT is public domain. You log in, sign in with Google, create your account. They got a premium one. I don't know what it does. I just started fucking with this yesterday. And it just absolutely boggles the mind My dad was running complex calculations through it and asking it questions about what it can do, and he asked, "Do you get questions about politics?" And it says, "I don't weigh in on that. I don't have emotions, blah blah blah, shit like that."
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like, "Fuck me, man." Now you're having a conversation with this thing. It's right out of fucking Star Trek, man. Computer, tell me this shit, and it does. This takes Google to a new level. You're now letting supercomputers
It's like,
with these
yeah.
algorithms scour the internet in seconds,
uh,
and not only just find the information that's out there, good, bad, or ugly, actually take it and compile it and display it to you in the format you're looking for
But
in seconds.
it gets back to one of those things I was saying though. It's like you're going to ask this thing. It's like, hey, like AI, can a man birth a child? And it'll be like, no, absolutely not. And then people are going to lose their fucking minds because
Is the
it's
earth
big,
flat?
big.
Fuck shit like that.
Well, not so much that, but it's like it's going to ask things like, kind of, like things that we know as fact, like biology, like a man's a man, a woman's a woman, shit like that.
We're not going back to that shit.
I know, but what I'm saying is that this is how AI is going to become like racist and bigoted and all these things, right? Because you're gonna ask it like 1 + 1 is, and it's gonna be like 2, and people are gonna be like, well, that's bullshit. And so it will be. I mean, for people like me, it'll be very amusing because I'm gonna be like, yeah, the AI is right. I mean, there you go, smartest thing on the fucking planet. And it
Oh, I
agrees with
like
me. It agrees with little old redneck me. I'm like, okay, cool.
It's just the shit they can use it for. So if you watch Sean Ryan's show, which I do, he did a whole thing with some fucking genius about this stuff.
Yeah,
And the guy showed, and it's pretty funny. Check out at Sean Ryan show, you'll see it. It's a video of Joe Biden, and they make the lips move right and everything, and he sounds exactly. It's his voice, right? Because what the
yeah,
AI has done is found every fucking thing he's ever said, and it's talking about him lost in a grocery store, but a
yeah,
magic pistachio showed up and showed him a hidden passageway. And then he showed up in the bread aisle. And then his key messaging was like, if you're ever lost in the grocery store, just look for a magic pistachio and it'll get you out. And this is all created with AI. So,
yeah,
you can make any public figure, politician, world leader look like they said shit that they did not actually
yeah.
say. Like, it's
Well,
fucking
I know
dangerous, man.
I know in the mornings on the radio here on the like K97, they'll have like AI Connor McDavid like after a game, like, and it was like what would me or you say, and it was based on the events at the game the day before, and it's like Connor McDavid talking like an asshole, saying like, yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna go to McDonald's and get chicken McNuggets, and good job on this, and everybody else sucks, and it's pretty funny, right?
I mean, that's funny, but that feels like dangerous shit.
Oh yeah, what are you gonna do, right?
That's exactly. There's Tara. Yeah, it's fucking insane, man. Whoops, sorry, I'm just clicking. I'm just randomly clicking shit now. Yeah, I don't know, man. But at the end of the day, what could I say? It sped up my workflow for what we got to do tomorrow by like 90. I was done 90% quicker than I would have been had I sat there
Yeah,
and thought of questions and all this shit.
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, getting to that, we got a thing tomorrow. We're in about I don't know, I think it's the middle of Ramadan right now.
Yeah,
So Ramadan, if you don't know what Ramadan is, that's fine. I'm not a religious person, but I respect all religions. Just go do your thing over there. Ramadan is the ninth month in the Islamic calendar, considered the holiest month of the year, and all practitioners of the Muslim faith are now observing the traditions. And if I'm fucking this up, just leave me alone,
yeah,
okay?
yeah. What you're saying is you're not the expert on the
I'm
codified
not the
doctrine of
expert
Islam.
on it, all right? Just because
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay.
So it's an important month, and it runs, I
Yeah.
believe, it's aligned with the Islamic lunar calendar, which was about 23 March, and it goes to like 23 April, like for that month.
Yeah.
So technically, we're in the middle of it tomorrow, and practicing Muslims. Okay, so Ramadan is the Arabic name for the ninth month in the Islamic calendar. It is considered one of the holiest months for Muslims and is marked by a period of fasting considered one of the 5 pillars of Islam. These are 5 principles which Muslims believe are compulsory acts ordered by God. The other pillars are faith, prayer, charity, and making the pilgrimage to Mecca, which not all of them can do. So they practice it as best they can. So in our particular case, we've got a bunch of Afghan interpreters, former Afghan interpreters that worked for the Canadian Armed Forces during the war in Afghanistan. And they reached out to Mike Rood, and I wanted to get Mike on the show, but he's actually picking up a guy in Toronto. He's a former Patricia. You know Mike?
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, Mike was he was 2 commando, and then he was in the 3rd Battalion forever.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I know Mike Rood. Yeah.
So solid dude. So he's kind of been spearheading this whole thing through the Veterans Association Food Bank in Edmonton. And I went down and met him last week, and he brought 3 of the guys in that'll be cooking. 3 former interpreters, Afghans, that made it out of Afghanistan. And I'm going to get a chance to interview hopefully as many as I can. There's going to be about 30 veterans and 22 Afghans.
Hey Chris, do you know when they got out of Afghanistan? Was it like during the final days, or
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Was it like the fall of they escaped during the fall of Saigon, or was it like they got out like 10 years ago?
That was like if this, I haven't heard from Mike because there's a lot of moving parts and balls in the air. I'm supposed to go to tea tonight, but I don't know. We're gonna get an opportunity to interview them tomorrow and ask those kinds of questions. Thanks to AI. Yeah, the whole bit, right? I want to get into that. And so they're cooking us a dinner, traditional, like they're gonna bring in all the carpets. We got to clear the floor. They're gonna lay it out. Buddy's gonna smash out traditional Afghan barbecued meats, which is kebabs in every part of that world, rice, probably naan bread, and all that good stuff. And I'm going to interview them. I'm going to try to interview some of the service members if they want to talk about, their interactions with interpreters over there. There's some fucking politicians coming. Can't get around that.
Is there who's coming? Do you know?
I don't know. Like Mike found specific guys that actually influenced or supported the community, the Afghan community, and was pressuring Ottawa.
You know what? Out of all of this, because people think as veterans, we're kind of a bit touchy about this, that, and the other thing. And I've got my own views on the war and things like that. But the one thing that pisses me off, goddamn politicians. I was like, because dude, as well as I do, we won the battles, and it was the goddamn politicians that lost that fucking war. It wasn't us. It wasn't the boots on the ground. It wasn't.
Wow, that's a fucking 62-hour show.
Oh, I know it is. I'm saying, people are thinking you're not triggered, talking to Afghan. I'm like, no, not at all. Like especially the interpreters. I was like,
no, it's not their fault. We fucked it up.
I've gotten there every now and then you get a shitty interpreter, but that's every now you get shitty people in the army, you get shitty people on any job site in the world. I get it, but generally speaking, the Afghan interpreters that I dealt with were fabulous people, and I learned a lot from them. And anyway, like I said, nothing but good to say. But yeah, politics.
See, that's
fuck those motherfuckers.
That's interesting because again, if you want to be one of the guys I interview, because I didn't fucking build a relationship with them.
Well, I know what you're saying, and until because I was there for I did 3 deployments there, and it wasn't until the last deployment that I actually developed a relationship, because so during 2012 it was op attention, and so we were there as train to trainer type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So I was in Afghanistan's Wainwright or Meaford or Gagetown or whatever. I guess it was they actually compared it to Gagetown. So I was in Mazar-e-Sharif. So I was like
oh, you weren't at KMTC. Okay, I thought you were going to be at KMTC.
No, I was way north. I was 100 miles south of the
I've been to Mazar-e-Sharif. It's a nice base, man. Germans built that fucking
thing. I was north of that though. I was in Camp Mike Spann. And Mike Spann, for anybody that doesn't know, he was the very first American actually killed in Afghanistan. He was a CIA.
I did not know that.
CIA operator. So it was a very, very small base. But yeah, I was up with the Germans up in Mazar-e-Sharif and Camp Marmal. That was interesting as well. And that place was, it was like the streets are paved with gold. Nobody ever grows old. There's stereotypes in the world. Yeah, well, the Germans lived up to every single stereotype, and it was very well engineered, very well built, and it was absolutely beautiful.
For sure, man. The base of Mazar-e-Sharif was unreal.
Yeah, and but where I was, in Mazar-e-Sharif proper, Like that was where like Kalajange was, and like that's where they found that's where like the Northern Alliance started and everything like that.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of history. But
Well, funny thing, Mazari Sharif's the actual place. That's the first place I ever had Afghan food and sat down with them. We had a lull in the action, if you will. That was on my first tour. Second tour, not so much. Pretty busy. And it was local dudes on the camp, like just, work laborers, whatever the fuck they were doing, maintenance guys. And they, through somebody, they invited us to a barbecue. And of course, the preventative medicine techs, PMed techs, we call them in the military, are like,
the
you
fun
can't
ones.
eat the local food. I'm like, fuck
Yeah,
you. I'm
fuck you.
500% going to this barbecue. I've been eating German food for a week, man.
Yeah.
German army food. So I've had enough fucking boiled cabbage. I'm going to get some of this goat or whatever they're
Yeah,
going
and
to cook
it was
up.
always good.
It's fucking amazing,
Amazing,
man.
yeah.
Right? They had the grill going over coals. And even these guys tomorrow, we showed them the barbecue in the back, and Buddy's like, nope, can't use that. It's got to be charcoal. He won't use a gas barbecue. So I respect that.
Oh yeah. Well,
So,
it's a cultural thing too. Like,
yeah.
it is what it is, right?
So he's sourcing out his own barbecues and the whole shot. He's got one. He's calling some other guys. They're not cooking over fucking gas ranges. This guy's going to try to do it as OG as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I never had time on the second tour because we had a pool of terps. Terps is not a derogatory term; it's in short for interpreter. That's what we call them.
They didn't want them. They didn't want us to call them terps, but whatever.
Well, I don't even like the word interpreter. I like the word translator. I don't want you to interpret what I'm saying. I want you to translate what I'm saying. And learning how to work with them is a skill set of its own. So we had a pool of them, and as part of a quick reaction force, so it was like whoever was on deck would come out, and to not to be rude or impolite, but I ran a fucking bomb disposal team. It's not like I'm going to sit down and ask him about his life and his family and shit and get to know him. It's just boom, we're on target. Do your job. Blah 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 blah. Because I used them every time. I had to interact with locals to ask them questions. I had to interact with Afghan national security forces. So I was working with these guys every day, but I didn't want to get to know them because we actually caught a couple. Definitely one got caught sending sensitive information on his cell phone because we wouldn't let him bring cell phones. So rule strike one, Buddy had his cell phone and we grabbed it and looked at it and he was sending fucking grids and shit. And I didn't fucking light him up. Right.
And Chris, that's why I think we get a lot of like, there's guys like me and you, like tomorrow we're going to go and we're going to have a dinner because for whatever reason in our minds, in my mind, like I respect what they did. And I think in the end, I think they kind of got fucked over.
We're gonna get to that in a minute.
My opinion only. I think that a lot of them got fucked over. Were there shitty interpreters? Were there scumbag interpreters? Absolutely. But
why is that?
Yeah, but I think that the scumbag interpreters were the exception and not the rule.
I think more of the scumbag interpreters weren't scumbags, but they got rolled up and said, if you don't give us information, we're gonna fucking kill your family.
Absolutely, and
that's real deal shit, man.
Yeah, a lot of politics involved. But I think the majority of them they were good people, like genuinely good people.
Yes, 100%. I'm talking one guy in like 100, and I wasn't mean to him. I didn't fucking interrogate him. Well, I did. I tactically questioned him when we got back, and basically he said the Taliban said they're going to kill my family.
And you're like, fair enough, right?
So I didn't have time to download pictures of what a Terp would look like over there, but basically they're dressed like us. They're wearing Canadian era uniform with a helmet on.
The guys I had weren't. They were just wearing whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
you
fucking
fucking guys are wearing whatever too.
No, but when we were
they had body armor on, they weren't armed, and they had masks on and sunglasses. Now, typically, so if I had an interpreter when I was in Kabul and all over the north, the interpreter's family would be in the south, and when I was in Kandahar, the interpreter's family would have been from the north to separate the Terp from the family. So that guy's down there alone, so his family can't get threatened. But on occasion, you'll have an interpreter go, fuck that. I'm doing this. My family believes in this. And they're putting themselves at huge risk. And in this particular case, Buddy's family was threatened if he didn't help him out.
Yeah.
And I went, got it, but you're fired. Sorry, you can't work here as an interpreter.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that. I don't think we're
Yeah, because and that's one of those things. Like you're like I got like nothing personal, but I don't know you, and I don't want my boys to get killed either. So beat it.
and I think that was why I kind of put him at an arm's length. I mean, I knew a couple that had personalities, right? So you get to know who they are, but I didn't want a relationship with them. And I know a lot of guys develop really good relationships with their interpreters, and I want to be able to get those stories tomorrow when we sit down with them. But
Yeah,
I don't fucking have one because it's like I got a job to do. There's a bomb over there. I need to get the bomb, then figure out who put it in the ground, and then figure out who backed that guy, and then go kill him.
yeah.
That's what we do.
Now,
I don't give a
I
flying
agree with
fuck
what you're
about
saying.
you. You do your shit, and we're done here, right?
Yeah,
It's just
so
business to me.
I've got like two different like views. So in like 2012, op attention, Broto Zero. Here we are, we're way up north, and I had this interpreter. He was maybe a couple years younger than me at the time, and his name was
Yeah.
Zabibullah Atta. Awesome dude, and he was so good.
So you even
Uh,
remember the guy's fucking name? Like
yeah,
I don't remember one
he's
name.
he's the only interpreter's name that I know. And I got there, and he was a genuinely good person, and yeah, so he
Yeah.
like he helped me so much with with my relations with like my Afghan counterparts because we were working in like the Afghan infantry school, so to speak.
Yeah.
That there was one time there was like 3 or 4 days. I remember like he called it was like in the winter time and like he shows up one day and he's like, yeah, I'm sorry. He apologizes for being late. And he's like, then he tells me the story. He's like, but the pipes froze in my family's house and everything burst and everything's flooded. And I'm just like, and you're here. Like I was like, go home, man, deal with your shit.
Yeah,
And he's
go home, man. We can do this
like
shit tomorrow.
yeah, but like the months leading up to that, like he had helped me so much and my team so much, like interacting with the Afghans that I was actually comfortable. I was like, Zabi, you go home. We used to call him Zabi for sure, Zabi Bula. So I was like, Zabi, go home, like do your like whatever. I was like, you've got
Yeah.
my Afghan phone. I was like, call me when you're sorted. I was like, it takes as long as it takes. I was like, I know, like you're not a dog fucker. I was like, so just go do your business. I was like, and call me when you're done. I was like, because your family's more important than this nonsense. I was like, I'll cover for you. Essentially, I was like, I'll say you were here. Carry on. And but we still went out with no interpreter and just through like my shitty Pashtun and
Yeah.
these Afghan army like their shitty English. Like we made
Oh,
it.
you'd be speaking fucking Dari up there,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Well, yeah,
Right?
there's Pashtun and Dari. Yeah, but between all of our like our they're my shitty Dari and Pashtun, their shitty English, like we made it work
You made
because
it work.
Zabi created a good enough bridge. So between like that and some charades, like we made it work, and it was fabulous. And because of that, he actually helped me develop a better relationship, like with the Afghan National Army instructors that I was working with, right? So, and
Yeah.
it was a really good experience for me, right?
I mean, so I guess the closest dude I got to, we had a guy, of course I can't remember his fucking name. Why would I? He was the first Afghan EOD team leader. So Dave, who you know,
Yeah.
who's fucking out on his bike right now, lucky fucker.
I was on mine today too.
He was so his team, they were like the flyaway team, like the wild card team.
Yep.
Because he was A, he was the squadron sergeant major, B, he was the team leader for team 5, which went on ops, or it was the training team. So they wanted to train an Afghan EOD team. And they trained him at Camp Hero, which is like out by CAF, right?
Yeah.
It was a US camp, like a training thing, kind of like what you're talking about near Kandahar Airfield in southern Afghanistan. So they
Yeah,
trained
I
these
know what
guys.
Camp Hero was. Yeah.
Yeah, good food there, man. KBR run kitchen. Anyway,
KBR right on. Carry on.
fucking buddy. Anyway, we could talk that food. How the Americans eat overseas is not how most countries eat overseas.
No.
Anyways, once he was done, it's like practicum time, so they sent him to us. And they'd come out on bomb calls with us. They didn't have any fucking kit, right? So this guy was already a Kandahar City police officer, and he had his little 3-man EOD team with him. The Americans gave him a Humvee. We had to store all his C4. They weren't allowed to take explosives home for obvious fucking reasons, trust issues. But this guy had good English. He gave a fuck, like he cared. He hated the Taliban. He was one of those guys that really wanted to make a difference. They didn't have a bomb suit. All they had was some basic hook and line shit, like really
Yeah.
rudimentary, basic fucking engineer stuff to deal with IEDs. But the guy cared, and I really liked working with him. So, that's as close, probably the
Yeah.
closest relationship I had with an Afghan local national, even though there
Yeah.
was tons of them all over the fucking camp,
Yeah.
doing their thing.
So like and I've got a similar-ish story. So back like now, so we had my last story was 2012. So now back it up was 2008. So it's Task Force 108. That was a two peep CLI battle group, and I got thrown over as a like a Section 2 IC. Ended up over in snipers. That's where I did my time as an operational sniper there. But so we're in Panjway West. Like so, you got like not Mazari Sharif. You've got Massamgar, and then you go even a bit further west, and then you go Spurwingar. Yeah, we were even further west than that. We were out in like middle of nowhere. We're in like Indian country,
So he's
and
talking about mess hall. Um, these are all forward operating bases west of Kandahar City out in the
yeah.
fucking boonies.
And then where we were in this, there was some small towns where we call them combat outposts. So we had like outpost Haji, outpost Zangabad, then there was Talakan, and then almost out to the
Oh, and
Red Desert was
Howsy my
Talakan.
dad was way the fuck out there.
Yeah, Housing Madad, but Housing Madad was over, I think, in up in Zari district.
Yeah,
But
they
yeah,
they
anyway,
started
so all,
calling
all
that
these
shit in.
places.
Yeah.
So here we are in Zangabad with like just infantry platoon, like a Canadian infantry platoon in this this platoon house, so to speak, and a an Afghan platoon and a few like Afghan National Police, and those guys were shady as fuck. I didn't trust those Afghan National Police at all. They I don't
No,
know.
man.
The Afghan National Army, it was hit and miss with those guys. They were amazing. They could be shitty, but the Afghan National Police, I was a very weary
The
around them.
only guys I trusted they're called the NDS. Don't know what it stands for, but they're the Afghan like secret police.
Oh, okay.
And if these guys came to us and they wore plain clothes and told us something was gonna happen, it fucking happened.
Yeah.
And then we
So
worked with them. It was fucking crazy. But yeah, the ANP were
they were dicey. So we get out there and we had an interpreter, and this interpreter we had was fucking trash, and he was shady. So we essentially kicked this guy to the curb, but they couldn't. It was hard. We couldn't even get rations out where we were. Like to resupply us was it was like an act of God. Like yeah, I've got all kinds of crazy stories about trying to resupply us, and they couldn't do it. So we kicked this guy to the curb. He was out of there. So here we are. We've got some A&A, some A&P, a Canadian platoon. We're doing like combat operations, and we got no interpreter. So out of nowhere, there and when I was there with my sniper dad,
that's fucked rolling out without a
yeah,
tarp.
we were there. But next thing you know, so I was always pretty open minded. I'm like, you know what? Um, I'm a guest in these people's country. That was my attitude, right? So
Yeah.
I'm here
Fighting
to help. I'm,
assholes.
I'm
Yeah.
here to help them. So I was interested in what they had to say and what they had to tell me. So a lot of people, like you said, were like the P med techs, like, well, you can't eat this, and you can't do that, and blah blah blah. And I was just like, whatever. I was like, fresh food or rations. I was like, and these guys,
All day, man.
and they're very they wanted you to come. They're like, come with us and eat with us, and they wanted to. They were amazing hosts. Like, I mean, for lack of better terms. So we get these. So me and the snipers, like, we went like, what people will be like, oh, you guys are going full, like full native, I guess, or that's terms we
People
used at the
people
time,
love
right?
sitting listening to us bullshit, man. I love it.
Yeah. So
Thank
they'd be
you,
like, oh,
Ellen. That's what we're doing right now.
yeah, they're like, you guys are going like full native, and I'm like, whatever. And so they'd ask us for things like we teach them like navigation and like very basic soldier skills. So we hang out with these guys, and next thing you know, I all of a sudden I noticed this one guy, and I can't remember his last name, but his first name was Raj, which I thought was a bit of an odd name for an Afghan because it seems like more of an Indian name, like Indians,
Yeah.
yeah, like from India. And next thing you know, this guy speaks at A&A perfect English. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, who the fuck are you? Right. And he explains to me his life story. And he's like, yeah, he's like, before the Taliban took control in the late 90s, like my father took me and my three brothers and my father or my mother and my sister moved to Delhi, India. I was educated there. My father was an engineer. My brother's an engineer. He's like, I was educated as a, I think he's like, I was educated as as he goes, I'm an engineer. He goes, and he's telling me
And
not
now he's in the fucking A&A?
yeah, he didn't do
Wow.
a couple of courses at a community college. Like this guy was like a legit like an engineer. Like, and I'm this guy, and I could tell like right away. I'm like, this guy's a very educated person. And he's like, yeah, I speak like 7 languages. And I'm like, what? He's like, I speak English, French, Dari, Pashtun, Farsi.
Yeah.
And like, what the
Wow.
hell? And he didn't speak English. Like he spoke like very very good English.
The
And
Queen's English.
yeah, he spoke the Queen's English. So
Yeah.
he kind of became like the de facto like interpreter, and it was it was amazing. And I looked at him and I was like, I asked him one day, I was like, so your father like moved you out of here and he's like 1997. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, so how the fuck did he get
I was
back and
like,
end up in the A&A?
and you know what he told me? This is what I asked him the same question. I was like, why are you here? I was like,
Right?
you had a golden ticket. I was like, why the hell did you come back here? He looks at me and he says, he's like, this is my country. He's like, how can you come here? He goes and fight for my country. He goes and me and my people not fight for my country.
And you
And
said,
I
"'Cause
was
we get tax-free money, man."
yeah, but still, but like this guy,
No,
he
no,
didn't
no, I
have to.
get it.
But
That's
yeah,
like
and I
that's
was just
fucking
like,
pretty
I
honorable.
was like, I was kind of blown away. I was like, what a stud. I was just like that, like what, like that right there, like definition of a man right there.
And that
Like boom,
changes your whole relationship with the guy. I mean,
absolutely. I was just
I got a
like
similar story, but it's not as cool of an ending. Cyprus, 1992, we're crossing into a Turkish checkpoint on the island of Cyprus. And there's this guy there, and he's as fucking white as me and speaks perfect British Queen's English. And we're like, "What are you doing here, man?" And he goes, "Well, my parents were from the UK and they moved to Turkey for whatever buddy's dad's job. So he was born in Turkey. They moved back to the UK. They came back to visit family, and the fucking army grabbed his ass and said, 'No, you're conscripted. You're a Turkish national.'" And they sent his ass to Cyprus to stand on a checkpoint. I'm like, holy shit, buddy. That's fucked up. Very nice guy. But to meet a guy who did not have to come back to that fucked up country and put himself at great risk and join, the fledgling Afghan National Army, which was a bit of a colostomy bag at best,
yeah,
to put it out there because guys like you and me and our brothers that went over there to do the shit we did. That's fucking pretty cool. I could see
yeah.
how you'd build a relationship with that dude,
It absolutely is. Like and like the level of like I mean, I've got more respect for that guy
Yeah, it's game
than,
changer right away.
than I do for most people, realistically.
Yeah,
You know.
and especially
Um,
like I mean, I didn't work with the omelet guy, so omelet is an acronym. It's not the egg.
yeah, officer.
Observer military liaison teams, and they basically help train the Afghan National Army or the Afghan National Police, and then actually go on operations with them, like combat operations. So, and a lot of the omelet guys had a lot of fucking respect. They said a lot of these guys are junk. They just fucking cower, drop their weapons, and run away.
Yeah,
But there was a lot of guys that were proud to be in the A&A that were fucking good war fighters,
yeah,
and really wanted to go and take it to the Taliban and fuck them up. So,
yeah.
you know, those are relationships that you can't break. And then the shit hits the fan. Taliban retakes the country in basically a week. Fucking mind blowing that it was that quick. I did not see that coming.
Like, hey man, hats off to those fuckers.
Yeah, they took their time. They took their time and planned it. And then we're trying to get them out. So at present, and I just read an article today, and I'm not that throw up an article and talk about it on the fucking screen, guy. I hate that shit. It said at present, 30,000 Afghans have been successfully relocated back to Canada, or not relocated, located, whatever the word is.
Yeah,
They made it out of there through Pakistan or Kazakhstan or anything that ends in stan that surrounds Afghanistan,
yeah.
and fucking got back here. And the government and I'm not here to bash the government on whether they're doing it right or wrong. I mean, that's a whole separate fucking show.
You can leave that for me. I'll bash the government.
Yeah, you can do that in a minute because I don't have the facts, right? Their target is 40,000. I don't know what the total number is. I don't know what the total number is of how many local national Afghans supported Canada during that entire
Yeah.
time we were there, 14 years, right?
Yep.
I don't know, but it's obviously fucking way higher than 30,000. And I know there's some struggles. In fact, the dude, when we were at the food bank last week, he was on the phone. This is mind blowing fucking story with his brother who's in Islamabad, Pakistan right now. He made it there, but he's waiting for the Canadian government to get its shit together and get him out of there. But his cousin, or it was hard to understand what they were saying. The guy looks and says, "Oh yeah, but my brother made it out, but his other brother or cousin just got beheaded yesterday in front of his family." Fucking shit like that is going on over there, where the Taliban is actively fucking hunting and killing anybody they can link back to um, the to ISAF, the International Security Assistance Force. So any locals that were either interpreters, camp security, whatever the fuck they did to support
Sympathizers.
ISAF, they're being hunted and killed. That's the true thing. So whatever bullshit story about the Taliban's trying to become a recognized power, fuck them.
Actually, just a shit on our own government, we do recognize them as a legitimate government. Just saying.
Of course
Just
we
saying.
do. Of course we do. Like, why are you getting?
I mean, we went to war
Why
with
are
them
you
for
getting my
14
blood
years.
going, man? I don't want to start losing my shit here.
Just saying. They're a legitimate government now, man. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, fuck. Anyway, let's just stop it. Stop it. We'll move on. I don't want to talk about our fucking government ever. Our government is doing their thing. Is it too slow? Yes, it's the government. Everything the government does is too fucking slow. Do your taxes and you'll understand why. So it's not happening fast enough. And there's a fucking ton of people still stuck over there.
Yeah,
and
there's some of those Afghan, especially the interpreters, and I know there were other people that worked on camp, but people that you and I never seen, never knew about. But at the end of the day, like, they supported us, right?
Yeah.
And people can shit on me for what I want. Some of those people are better fucking Canadians than goddamn Canadians that are actually in Canada. Like, fuck.
Sure, they are. 100%.
And I was like, they risked it all. They risked it all, and we left them there in goddamn Kandahar and Kabul to fucking rot and get their heads cut off.
Pretty much. Yeah, Ellen's got a good question. Are they safe here? Will they always be on the run? No, they're safe. They're good.
They're safe here. Yeah.
Now they're going to deal with us assholes. So I mean, these are some of the questions I'll ask.
The only shitty part about it is like you'll have like that one individual, and he's here, but like, did his wife, did his children, did his mother, did his father, did his father-in-law, his mother-in-law, they're probably still somewhere getting tortured. Who knows, right? So I mean, like, those individuals.
That's a good point. Yeah, the guys that are out are safe, but they have family that are still there. I'm gonna be having these conversations with them tomorrow to ask those questions about, is your family over there? How do you manage that? What is that like for you? I mean, I'm not gonna ask stupid fucking questions where the answer is obviously they're stressed.
No, because AI already gave you the good questions. So don't worry.
AI gave me the good ones, and it'll be just describe what that's like, and how you manage it more so. Are you upset that your family's fucking being hunted by the Taliban? Yeah, fuck, of course they're upset. What the fuck kind of question is that? Because
however, one thing, like, I definitely learned from like the Afghans, and a lot of them are deeply religious, and and they're devout Muslims. So like, I remember these guys, we go out, like, we are like helmets and body armor and all kinds of crazy shit, and these guys would wander out and they're like nothing. And you remember what they'd say? They'd be like, Inshallah.
Inshallah.
If God wills it. And I'm just like, holy shit. So a lot of these people,
that's like us saying fuck it.
Yeah, because they actually believe, like, in a higher power. They actually believe in an afterlife. They believe that, like, so even their family, if they're back getting tortured and get their heads cut off, a lot of them are like, but in the afterlife, they'll be looked after. So, it sucks, but it's, in the next life, they'll be looked after, and there's, so like, the way we as North Americans, especially if you're like, if you're an atheist or you don't believe in God or anything, or an afterlife or anything like that, you're like, oh my God, you're being tortured to death and this is terrible. But a lot of these Afghans are kind of like, they're like, but it's okay. Like, this life sucks, but in the next life or in the afterlife, they'll be looked after, because they'll be viewed as patriots as martyrs or whatever word you want to attach to it, right?
Sure.
So like in some ways, like it's their culture is kind of interesting, and then like Afghanistan, I mean this place like predates any religion that we're familiar with in like the modern world. Even like Islam is not a particularly old religion in the grand scheme of things when you compare it to like Judaism or even like Christianity. It's kind of a newer thing. So Islam in Afghanistan is like an add-on to the Afghan culture. There's like the Afghan culture, and then there's Islam, right? So
Oh, yeah, the history of that whole area and everybody that's gone through there and all the shit they've been through, it's fucking mind-boggling to roll around there. Hi, Dan
yeah.
from upstate New York. I think that's our first American listener.
Oh wow, nice.
Thanks for joining in, buddy. You're getting the Canadian perspective on
Yeah.
some Afghanistan shit.
Hey, Dan, were you ever military, or were you like Army, Marine, Air Force, or like National Guard or anything like that? That'd be interesting. But yeah, who knows?
Yeah, we'll get him on the show.
Yeah.
I got to get an American service person on the show. We're all going through a lot of the same fucking trials and tribulations, but that's another show. Don't go there. It was going to be tonight. I had this big thing I was going to do tonight, and I fucking parked it. I'm like, we're not doing that. Not right now.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one, though, Chris.
I know, but it's like, oh man, I want to get that shit off the books and just never speak of it again. But it just keeps coming around like a fucking boomerang.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Cool. Yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm really. It was interesting. What I'm about to say, don't take this the wrong way. First of all, smell is probably one of the most amazing senses for bringing back memories. And Afghan
Yeah,
people, even though they're back in Canada now, they maintain a strict diet. So they have a smell. It's not a fucking body odor. I'm not making fun of them. They have a distinct smell. People from countries, we have distinct smells to them, I'm sure. And when these dudes walked into the Veterans Food Bank, I was like, fuck man, I went back in time like 13 years.
yeah,
It hits you. But the nicest guys, they're doing a thing for us tomorrow. They're gonna cook for us to thank us. I'm like, thank us. Fuck dudes. We wouldn't have been able to do our job if it wasn't for them.
no,
I owe so much to those guys who risked so much, in the face of massive adversity.
yeah,
These local nationals opted out of Taliban rule and said, we're going to support the International Security Assistance Force, we did our best. And yeah, our political fucking system across all ISAF nations shit the bed there,
big time.
fucked it up. And then we basically bailed out of there and left them there.
Yep.
And that fucking gets my fucking goat.
Yeah, because but one thing I'll say about the Afghans, and like I said before, Islam is like a recent add-on to like Afghan culture. And Afghan culture, if you actually kind of read into it, and all the changes that place has gone through, is like very, very interesting place. Like, everybody knows, like, it's the graveyard of empires. Think about it, like Alexander the Great.
Alexander the Great castle, man, used to roll down. It's Alexander the Great. Everybody knows who that is, or you should. He was the closest to quote unquote conquering Afghanistan, but he knew he had to marry into it. And he built a castle. It's on the very west side of Kandahar city, in the southwest side, and it's built into the side of this mountain. And if you go down, there's a route we'd have to go down to sometimes. And I think it was in District 8. Doesn't matter. It's in the southwest. And you could see this thing, and I got pictures of his fucking amazing history of what it used to be. And then the Russians came in and fucked it all up for a decade or more.
Well, the thing is, though, like, and that's disputable as well, like, because the Russians went and they're kind of like we did. The Russians didn't destroy a lot of things. There was more tribal warfare, I think, that destroyed a lot of things.
Well, the
Uh,
Civil War was after the Russian invasion.
yeah, and that's what, because the Russians didn't want to go in there and destroy everything, because they're like, they wanted to expand their borders. So like, we don't want to wreck everything and then
They did
pig
a lot
fix
of
everything.
scorched earth, man, like very similar to what they're doing in the Ukraine right now. Like they fucking leveled. There used to be trees and orchards all around Canada. Oh, by the way, Kandahar province has some of the most amazing pomegranates you will ever fucking
Oh,
see. I'm talking like
amen.
it's big.
The reddest tomatoes I ever ate, the best green onions, like the pomegranate. Yeah, it was amazing. Like they're that
Despite
green.
constant threat of death, it'd be a great place to open a vineyard.
Yeah, like,
Um,
but like I said, but like I said, that they kicked the shit out. Like essentially, they sent Alexander the Great. They sent him packing. They sent the
yep,
Soviets packing, and now like at NATO, they sent NATO packing
they
too.
sent NATO packing. True fucking story, man. Well,
Right?
I mean, we handcuffed ourselves,
Yeah.
so it's like you
A
put
friend.
us into a sandbox and say, "Here's your left and right of arc."
A,
The
a,
bad guys can run across the border
uh,
and hide and reconstitute, which is a military term for retrain, re-recruit, re-equip, resupply,
yeah.
and then come back across the border from Pakistan. That's where we should have been dropping fucking bombs, but that's another
That's
show
another.
for another
That's
day.
another show. A friend, like
Um,
a
but
friend of
there's
mine actually
no
had a
scenario where we're going to ever win this
no.
because we're not allowed to. Anyway,
Mm,
I don't. I don't want to make it about that. We're gonna
yeah.
wrap this up on a note. What time we got anyway? Yeah, it's time to punch out. Yeah, big dinner tomorrow. Morgan's gonna be there. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be there. There's gonna be about 20 or so Afghans who made it out of Afghanistan. There's gonna be about 25 to 30 Afghan veterans. Supposed to be some politicians. There's gonna be a local like community leader, Afghan leader. I want to talk to that guy.
Fucking
Um,
politicians, god damn it.
fucking politicians
Those
though.
motherfuckers are gonna
I
make
don't
me
want to
angry.
talk to them. I don't care. I already told
I'll be
Mike.
like,
I'm
fucking
not
beat it,
talking
get
to
out of
any of those
here.
fucking
You're
guys
a
unless they
loser.
directly contributed to it. I don't want to hear your rhetoric. I don't want to hear your bullshit.
No.
Fuck off. Go talk to global media.
Yeah.
They're trying to get media to come out there. I'm like, oh, they'll fuck it up. Don't get global,
Yeah.
CTV, any of those guys in there. They'll just fuck it all
Yeah.
up.
They'll
So,
fuck it up big time.
yeah. So
Whatever.
hopefully it's just me.
I'll rant and rave at them, and they won't want to come anywhere near us.
Yeah. I'm going to film that. I'm going to edit it next week, and it's going to have nothing to do with Crier Media. No disrespect to Crier Media, nor is it going to have anything to do with Fire for Effect podcast. It'll be a standalone product. Fire for Effect Productions, my film, but it's going to be its own thing because I
Yeah.
just don't want to attach it to the
No, that's
shit
one.
we normally do. I need a standalone product because it's for them, about them, in their words. So I want to respect that. So that's the kind of how we're going to roll with that. Take one last note. Dan's got some. I want to hear some comments from New York. My wife wanted something for Christmas in the driveway that went from 0 to 160 in 4.56. I had to go to the bathroom scale. Basings. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not picking that. I mean,
Not
Bazinga. Yeah.
tracking.
Yeah.
Not tracking on that.
Yeah. I don't get it either.
Dan could be AI. I don't know. Okay. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Morgan Warren. We'll chat soon. I want to thank my sponsors. First of all, Fire for Effect is powered by Crier Media. Go to criermedia.co for Canada's largest digital source of news, sports, podcasts, alternative versions thereof, cool blogs, awesome podcasts. Also brought to you by Lakeside Farmstead, my man Jeff None and his family, north of Edmonton, where you can get amazing Wagyu cross beef and amazing dairy products. So if you're in the Edmonton area, check it out. And also brought to you by the Veteran Farmer, the good folks of the Veteran Farmer, offering cannabis solutions and other solutions for veterans dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder or other injuries from their service in the military. Check out the Veteran Farmer. And last but not least, my main man, Positive Mike, Positive Mike's Brewing Company. I'm out of Mike's beer, but I got some of his gear. Check out my man, Positive Mike. So listen, hey, thanks everybody for hanging with me. Next week when we come back, we'll recap how everything went. We'll do a full recap, and I'll hopefully have some micro content up on all the respective social medias. As much as I hate fucking social media, I'll put some shit up. And until then, everybody have a good one, and I'm out of here.